Welcome to the Holistic Entrepreneur with holistic nurse practitioner, success coach, and best-selling author, Bonnie Groessl. Bonnie and her expert guests share tips, tools, and strategies to achieve success on your holistic entrepreneur journey. Each show features answers to common entrepreneur challenges, along with a healthy dose of support and motivation. Now, please welcome the host of the Holistic Entrepreneur, Bonnie Groessl.
Well, welcome everyone. This is your host, Bonnie Groessl, here at the Holistic Entrepreneur. Now, today I'm so excited. I have a very special guest. Galt is with us today to talk about business integrity in the fifth dimension. And I'm going to introduce her in just a moment. It's going to be a very enlightening conversation. I can't wait. But first, I always want to take a moment to thank you for taking your time to be here. I know that time is our most precious asset, and I so appreciate you. Now make sure you check out the show page. I put the link to Von's website on the show page so that you can connect with her if you like. And there are always special gifts for you at bonnielinks.com, and you can certainly also connect with me at bonniegroessl.com. That's where I archive all of the podcasts and have information about the products and services that our business, M&B Global Solutions, has to offer. Now, I always want to remind everyone of the little disclaimer before every show. The information that's presented here is educational, inspirational, and motivational in nature, but I always want you to just take what fits for you and simply let go of the rest. This show does not intend or imply to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. I always want to preface every show with that little reminder for all of us. Now, let me tell you a bit about our guest for today. Bonnie Galt is an author who has studied Buddhism for over 4 decades. She compiled 20 years of research in her new book, Buddhist Mandalas, Explore Parallel Realities with Sacred Geometry. Now, she wrote this during the COVID-19 pandemic, and we're going to hear more about that. She earned her Bachelor's of Arts degree from the University of Washington and earned her MBA in e-business management from Westwood College of Technology. Now, aside from being an author, she's a working mom in the IT industry. She lives in Seattle, Washington, with her husband and her 2 children. Join me in welcoming Bonnie Galt to the Holistic Entrepreneur Show today. Well, welcome, Bon. I am so excited to have you here on the show today. I'm so glad that you took the time because I know you're a busy person.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to talk about these wonderful topics with your audience.
Oh, I am too. You know, I read a little bit about people in their bio, obviously, but there's always more to the story, right? So would you share with us a little bit more about your journey and what brings you to who you are today and the book that you wrote that we're going to talk about today?
Yes. Obviously I'm Bonnie Galt, and I'm a very normal working mom here in Seattle, Washington. I have a 9-to-5 job in the IT industry, just like many other people. So there's absolutely nothing special or unique about me, just normal working person. However, one of the things that I like to do is I do like to write books because they are my meditation. And I love to write books on topics that are interesting to me. And one of the topics that's always interesting to me is metaphysics and Buddhism. And so that is because I was raised in the Buddhist tradition. And so I'm very familiar with studying consciousness and changing your reality based on your consciousness through the metaphysics and mysticism of Buddhism. And so I've written two Buddhism books so far, and many more to come. And one of the things that is very important with what is going on the earth right now is that we are moving further into the fifth dimension. And many Buddhists know this for a very, very long time. We have the belief system that we are changing into the fifth dimension. And the fifth dimension is a change of energy on planet Earth. Buddhists and many indigenous tribes around 2010 to 2012 did their awakening ceremonies to close out an old cycle of separation and usher in a new energy within the earth of unity consciousness, which is a fifth dimensional energy. And some of these tribes are the chiefs of Easter Island, chiefs of the Mayans, some Native American chiefs, and of course many Buddhist tribes or monasteries as well. And so this kind of brings us into this topic of the fifth dimension and how do we learn to work in this new energy that is really speeding things up and speeding manifestations up. And so business integrity is going to be a very prime um, foundation for how we succeed in commerce in this new energy.
Oh, I love, and I'm so excited about our topic today because i I mean, we have to change. The world is changing. I mean, we can see it all around us right now. It's been
Mm-hmm.
changing and things have been speeding up for a long time, it seems, but it's like really going nuts now. And
Mm-hmm.
with all of the pandemic going on and the social unrest and all those things. So we really need to realize and to believe that we are all one.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I
And
will actually give you some scientific understanding behind those very powerful messages you just said.
oh, that's great because
Okay.
some people need the science, you know, they need to
Oh,
know
yeah.
what's behind. So let's dive into that. You know,
Let's dive into science. Yeah.
you talk about the Earth's Schumann resonance, which I
Mm-hmm.
think is fascinating. Would you talk a little bit more about that so that sort of everyone is on the same page and
Right.
how that's affecting humanity?
Okay. So when you know, like I said, I was born in the tradition of Buddhism, but oftentimes when you discuss ancient topics and philosophies about awakening, ascension, and moving into the fifth dimension, they seem like story.
Hmm.
But so what I did for the last 20 years is I follow the work of many prominent Buddhist monks like the Dalai Lama and many, many others who over 20 years ago started to work with academia in the West and around the world to study mindfulness, meditation, and the nature of consciousness to see how much of this metaphysic knowledge that we study would actually hold up to the modern science. And much of it has, and much of the material has clarified ancient understandings that are a little bit fuzzy for
Hmm.
many practitioners of Buddhism. And so it's a nice updated add-on to the canon because Buddhism is not a religion, it's a practice of life, and so all this goes into the kind of understanding the nature of reality that we all play in. So one of the research is the Schumann resonance, and so 20 years ago I started following the Global Consciousness Project, and it is held at Princeton University. The Institute of Noetic Sciences and HeartMath Institute
Hmm.
help fund and work with that project. And what they did was they wanted to investigate the indigenous traditions, like myself, um, belief that the earth is alive and that the earth is affected by us and that we are affected by the earth. So they wanted to kind of understand these tribal belief systems. And so they did that. And so what they did was they put 70 random number generators all across the world, and they work much like a seismology machine that kind of measures earthquakes
Hmm.
and the ionosphere of the earth. And what they found is that the earth now has a natural heartbeat of 7.83 hertz, and it never changes for a very long time. So it was a very boring research project. But then, but then all of a sudden, the scientists got what they wanted. All of a sudden, the Earth's heartbeat started to jump, and she started to have these spikes of 8, 10, 12, 14. And they were just like, that's amazing. And what they found is when she started having these spikes, they were hours before an impending natural disaster or a huge event is happening to the masses in a specific area around those random number generators. And some notable examples that you can see on their website and go through the science right now, Global Consciousness Project. I think it's globalconsciousnessproject.com. But they predicted 9/11 9 hours before it happened, Hurricane Katrina, all these natural disasters across the world, and it's predicted hours before it happens. And the reason why it's predicted that is because, like animals, humans start getting anxiety of an impending change in the energy or something coming up long before it happens. So like animals who sense some kind of natural event's going to happen and they squirrel and run for shelter, we do the same exact things, but we don't know that we're doing it. And so that's how these random number generators are picking up that energy frequency, because humans' hearts send out a huge energy that's 5,000 times stronger than the energy that comes out of the brain. And so if a mass amount of millions of people in a specific area are feeling this anxiety at the same time, she will respond and pick that up as well as changes in her body. So they prove that yes, the earth is changing. The one thing that's different is that they thought the science project was done when she started getting into 10, 14 hertz. But after as we got closer to 2012, the end of the cycle of separation that the indigenous tribes have been waiting a very long time to close out, it started jumping into these higher frequencies, 20, 30, 60, 120, just these higher numbers. And when the energy changes and picks up to these higher numbers, it is going to affect us. It's kind of like wind picking up, and all of a sudden you can't sail very much like you used to. It's going to make us nervous, anxiety, sleepless, some backache, some headaches. We're going to have changes and some effects of the energy change. Like a magnet, the earth is a magnet. So when the earth has the spikes, what they found through the research is when they look at these spikes, two phenomenons happen. On one side, you have major wars. On the other side, you have renaissance. And so what they found is that when the earth has these spikes, it acts like an amplifier or a catalyst that brings up everything that you are inside you. So if you're negative, if you have a lot of dark night of the soul issues, all that is going to come up so that you can resolve it and learn from it and not do it again. So you can get to the good stuff and create out of abundance and love and prosperity. If you are already dealt with your dark night of the soul and your repressed issues that are dense and lowering your frequency, your personal frequency, then it's going to amplify what you are, which is that renaissance inside you, which is if you're creative, you're more creative, you have more opportunities. Things just kind of fall together much easier. So that's what's happening and has been happening since the late 90s, according to this research. And you can see it. These are all people working on their, what I call third dimensional issues. Because as Earth spikes further and makes not baby steps, but big leaps further into these higher fifth dimensional energies, we are all moving into a parallel, according to Buddhists, a parallel reality that speeds up, is much faster, things align and manifest faster. So if things manifest faster, you don't want to manifest your fears. You want to manifest your abundance.
Oh, absolutely. And in your book, you talk about these parallel realities.
Mm-hmm.
And I can say I can't believe you wrote that in like a month. It's a long book. I read it and it's really good.
Oh, you did? Oh, good.
Yeah. But I thought when I heard that you wrote this in just a short period of time, I thought, oh my goodness, that's a lot of writing. So you must really love to write.
Writing is my meditation. And remember, I've done 20 years of research,
That's
scientific
true.
research and the research is coming in one at a time. Here's the interesting thing about this is I don't do any kind of, channeling or anything else like that. I don't really get into that because for me, those six senses are distractions. But the interesting thing about the book Buddhist Mandalas is over the course of 20 years, the material would fall in front of me or it would kind of accidentally, I would run across it somehow. So, and I love metaphysics. So I'm like, okay, let me read that research. I'll save that and read that. And every single time I would go and read the research, there will always be some kind of symbol either in the library next to the research or on internet ads next to the research that I'm reading. Or somebody passing by who will wear a t-shirt that has that symbol. But there was always symbols referring to Archangel Metatron. You would call it Ezekiel in the Bible, so sacred geometry. There was always symbols that referred to Kuan Yin, which is the female Buddha of compassion. And there's always image around Yeshua, which is the Buddhist name for what you would call Jesus in the West. So there's always those three symbols. And so it was almost like through synchronicity, the material was presented one at a time. And what birth was this book, which is, there's so much information, I have to break it into 3 books. So this one is just about sacred geometry, and understanding your Merkaba that you have.
Mm-hmm.
And it birthed a book that all the material that came together that other people were working on, their little piece, came together to understand the science behind how all sacred geometry in all major religions of the world talk about what we call your Merkaba, your energy field. And one of the research is made by a company called Semantics. You can go to the website, soundmadevisible.com. You can record your name and they will send you what your Merkaba looks like, so you can see how advanced your consciousness is. So everybody has one. Like, you have a unique snowflake.
Yeah.
So that's interesting about this book. But how this information is relevant as we go further into the 5th dimension is that, like I said, things are going to manifest faster. You'll think about your friend, and all of a sudden your friend will call you or hit you up on Facebook. You'll start doing some of the building blocks for your book or for our show, and then you just thought about it, but then material will come to you that's like exactly what you needed at that time. So these synchronistic events happen very frequently as we get into the higher dimensions, because in these higher dimensions, Buddhists believe that your angels and your guides, your descendants, all these beings of higher frequency in the other side, they can see the whole puzzle piece, and they are going to find ways to connect those puzzle pieces and present it to you so that you could choose, if you want to take that next experience that you're working towards. So they're going to help you along the way, but you have to clean up your dark night of the soul and the gunk on the bottom of the ocean that's coming up for you to deal with. You got to clean all that up, your bad taxes, your tax evasion, your whatever, all that stuff. You got to clean that up, resolve it, so that you can get to the good stuff, so that they can work with you and give you the business that is going to last for 100, 200 years, give you the staff that is going to be happy and healthy, and build a business of loyalty and repeat customers that are with you for life and longer. So that is what's coming to you with the 5th dimensional energy that's coming into business.
So, in order to, is if I'm understanding you correctly, in order to access or allow in that energy that is going to really help you with all the things you just mentioned, we need to first be in a place, number one, that we can accept it, meaning we have to clean up our stuff, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, remember I said, look, the Schumann resonance, which is our scientific evidence that something is happening on planet Earth,
Mm-hmm.
and she's raising her frequency. And when she raises her frequency, it's like the analogy of rivers. Okay, when the rivers go through and they clean up their dirt, they bring up all the gunk on the bottom of the river, and then it gets transmuted, and then all of a sudden the river is pristine and clean all the way. You could see to the bottom of the river, you could see the rocks. That's what's happening. You have to clean the gunk on the bottom of your life, go all the way to the core, so nothing holds you down in these higher energies. And if you don't work on it, they're going to continue to bring it up worse and worse and worse, so that you can address it. And there's lots of help.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, you mentioned the dark night of the soul, and just for our listeners, so that we're kind of all on the same page, how do you describe that, or how does someone know when if they've been through it or they're going through it?
Well, the dark night of the soul is exactly what it is. It is your inner demons coming out. It is your hidden stuff you've been hiding under for a long time, that you just did not want to address. So it's just those dirty deeds that many of us, and I think all of us, do, because nobody's perfect. We're souls having a human experience, and then we get caught up in the story of our incarnation that we forget that we're souls having an individual physical experience for our own amusement and for our own spiritual growth. And so we always have to try to remember that, but many of us forget. So we get caught up in our own 3D stories and dramas, those are coming up for you to address, because you can't take your tax evasion with you. You can't take your, cheating with people in the office with you. You can't take all those dirty deeds that you do in business with you, because it's going to come up. So you might as well learn from it and don't do it, and learn to create in the fifth dimensional energy with more integrity, more clarity. I know you still have to make money for your livelihood, but put the disclaimer out there. I'll give you another example for how you could do this. So the auto industry, for a very long time, I actually work in the auto industry with internet marketing. The auto industry, for a very long time, you would go and you would get a car and you don't know what their manufacturer prices for the car. So you don't know if you're actually, getting a good price, or you're getting a competitive price or not. But they, many of them put their dealerships inventory online, and they fully disclose the price that the dealership gets from the manufacturer. So you see the difference in the price point, and you see, okay, so, and then you can shop around and see if you're getting a competitive price between all of the different dealerships around, because everybody's getting it from the manufacturer at about the same price point. That's putting out a disclaimer. So that's being transparent. That's being honest. That is higher integrity than maybe putting the wool over your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the difference between how you run a business in the fifth dimension and how you run a business in the third dimension. See the difference?
Yep.
Okay. Business integrity is very important in the fifth dimension, because here's the thing. Remember, I said many of us have gotten caught up in our stories, and Buddhists believe many people have gotten so caught up in their 3D games that they forget their soul having a human experience. But we are all souls having a human experience for our own purpose, whatever it is. And at the very end, we're going to have our life review. Okay, it's not Judgment Day.
Mm-hmm.
In the spirit world, Buddhists believe that your life review is when you go through your life through not only your perspective and experience everything you've done and created through your firsthand experience, but through the eyes and through the firsthand experience of everyone else that was touched by that action.
Mm-hmm.
So if you create an experience or a product or a service that has low integrity, that causes harm and infliction on people's lives, so that you can just get some easy money, when you pass on, you will experience firsthand the devastation that your product or service had on not only your customer, but to their family and their descendants, and all the way through until the last person was affected by it. And that is what Buddhists call hell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if you
Some
want
call
to
it
have
karma.
or karma,
Yeah.
yes, or purgatory, or whatever you want to call
Right.
it, it is not a judgment. It is a learning tool, so you can see, I incarnated into the earth experience so that I can learn and grow by not knowing the answers to my own tests.
Mm-hmm.
And I completely failed my own test. I do not have the character that I thought I had. I'm going to try better next time. And there's a lot of love and help in the spirit world to help people work on their wheel or dharma, is what we
Mm-hmm.
call it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is your life review. And if you want to have a positive life review, learn from the lessons that you have right now in your life, transmute those repressed, dense, lower energy issues. We call them your abundance blocks. They're unbalanced perspectives about things. Learn and grow from this so you don't repeat the bad habits that continue a cycle of bad business practices with your customers or whatever, so that you can start working with higher integrity and have a successful business that people are happy to buy from, and people are happy to refer to other people to, so that when you have that life review, you can have a review where you see the joys of your product and service and how it benefited and enriched your customers' lives and all their lives. So which life review do you want to have?
Yeah. And, the fifth dimension of at least what I know about the fifth dimensional energy is really about love. I mean, to me, everything is about love anyway, and everything has energy and all that sort of stuff. But, coming into that and talking about business integrity, there's a real connection there.
Yeah, I will explain what, like I said, Buddhists, there's a lot of areas of Buddhism, but basically, like I said, we have to really remember two foundational things that we have a tendency to forget when we are in our bodies and we're feeling pain when we hurt ourselves and so forth. That we forget that we're souls having a human experience to learn and grow. How do you want to learn and grow, and how do you want to enjoy the life that you have, that you're experiencing firsthand? And two, we forget that the universal consciousness, which Buddhists call the universal one mind,
Mm-hmm.
is a stream or flow of unlimited energy. People have called it Allah, the Lord, God, consciousness, whatever they call it, doesn't matter what you call it. It's this universal consciousness that resides in every sentient being. So every man, every woman, every child, everybody. And it is having its own individual experience for its own personal growth and amusement. And the reason why that is because Buddhists believe that the universe gave itself this wonderful gift to experience its own creations and the fullness of its creations through its own creations.
Mm.
Okay, and they've proven this in science. They've proven this in science in Buddha's brain. I think Dr. Rick Hansen.
Yep.
Yep. In Buddhist Brain, wonderful book, by the way, I recommend it. And he summarizes a lot of this mindfulness research where they put EEG brain scans
Mm-hmm.
and heart scans on people, and they had the person on the scans watch somebody else who was physically getting hurt and also who was watching violent imagery of rape and horrible things, and also being told horrible things like you're disgusting and other things. So they tried different ways of hurting the subject. And what they found in this research over and over again through multiple studies across the world in different universities is that the person with the EEG brain scan, their brains and their heart, it lights up the same as if the pain was being inflicted on them themselves. Even though they don't have the physical wounds like the other um,
Mm-hmm.
subject matter who's getting the physical pain, their body is still reacting as if they're already doing it to themselves, which means that we're all connected. So when we hurt other people, we hurt ourselves. We age, we lower our immunity, our body ages faster. That's the way the body is telling you you're hurting yourself. So instead of creating suffering for each other and for ourselves, there's an opposite to this experience, and we can create out of abundance and love. And in business, I will say, when you're working in business, since everything, the Buddha says everything is a holographic reality, it's malleable and it's a reflection of your inner bliss. If everything is a holographic reality, and you'll know this through your own personal Mandela effects when you work on your spiritual growth, you'll notice things in your life are different than you remember before, and you're not crazy. But like it's into kind of the fun stuff like Mandela effects, which is a different thing. But the thing is that we realize that we live in a holographic reality. It's a game for the consciousness. And so when you are selling products or services, you're really not selling anything physical. So what are you exchanging? What are you trading amongst people? You're trading your expression of love energy.
Mm-hmm.
So is the love energy that you sell to customers, is it tainted with low vibrations of deceit and lying, and is it not honest? I mean, is that what your expression of love is? Or is your expression of love, it has a disclosure, it will do this and this for you, it will help benefit your life? I mean, it's a more positive product, and the transaction is more positive and has higher energy. So which expression are you going to send out into our holographic reality? And that's really all we're doing in business, is we're exchanging our own expression of love that's a reflection of your inner self.
Mm. I have a kind of maybe a strange question, I guess, for you, Bon, but what is your opinion of where business is today? Do businesses in general need to do a lot of work because they got a lot of bad stuff that they're doing? Or
Yes,
okay, it is, because so how can they address that? What, like, say somebody, a business or whatever, wanted to improve, that they'd want to be this dark person, right? This low frequency energy person, or business, I want to get better. So because they have to want to do it first. It's a choice, right? Everything's a
Mm-hmm.
choice. But
Mm-hmm.
what kind of tools, what's available for them to help them move forward? Because they probably don't know how to do it on their own.
Yeah. There is a lot of great help out there. Actually, there is a business person who lectures, Simon Sinek, I think it is, of the Infinite Game.
Mm-hmm.
He's a great speaker on business integrity. There is a lot of great speakers on business integrity, business ethics. The resources are out there. But in a very simple takeaway that people can start doing is, when you're working with customers, treat every customer as if their one review will make or break your business. Okay? If
Mm-hmm.
every customer is treated to the best of your ability, as if it was your child that you love. I know some people you know don't so much, but your child or your dog that you love the most, with as much care and attention, then every single customer will leave with the feeling like, I just had a very loving exchange of energy between the person who fixed my car, the person who watched my kids, the person who just made this food, and I feel the soul food through my bones. It just tastes so good because I feel the love energy.
Mm-hmm.
Some foods have higher resonance because the chef is of higher frequency and is putting a very good expression of love, like mama's food.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same thing that we do too. So just start with that. It's a very simple takeaway to start with that. Full disclosure, full transparency. And if there's limitations, let people know that so they can make that decision.
Mm-hmm.
So those are really the good takeaways. You're going to be a conscious manifester. That's what they mean by being a conscious manifester. You're manifesting your next best experience with more acumen.
Yeah.
You're
The
not
word
doing
that
it blindly.
keeps coming to me in our conversation today and in life in general is authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
So many people are, they are one way, they are wearing a mask basically
Mm-hmm.
one
It's
way
going to come up.
in their business or in front of people, and there's somebody else behind the scenes. And to me, that's not authentic.
Yeah. The businesses that, and they've done this in studies too, the businesses that thrive better is the ones that show customers how a product is made all the way through. So you
Mm-hmm.
see behind the glass doors, you see the manufacturing, you see how their staff is making the products. I love the food. The Food Network has these great series on behind the food.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember the title, but they show you how food is being made and show you how things are being made, and it's very fascinating to see how is the product being made, how are the customers I mean, the staff, how are they, making the stuff? And you get to see behind the doors of how clean the facility is, and that's full transparency.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing when you go to a restaurant. Restaurants that open their architecture so you can see how the food is being cooked and how clean the kitchen is,
Mm-hmm.
typically get more customers.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing all over, um, just be open and honest and transparent, and because there's nothing to hide. You're not going to hide that rat that's running around the kitchen.
Right.
so
Right.
but
Well,
that's basically it. Show
well,
your staff.
we could, honestly, and I'm serious when I say this, honestly, we could talk about this all day because this is so fascinating. But I know that life is busy and there's so much going on in the world today. And not everybody's in the maybe best place, anxiety wise these days. But there's so much wonderful things that you shared today. If there was only one thing that you really want people to come away with, well, what do you think that one thing would be?
Yeah. When I was doing my book, Buddhist Mandalas, and the 20 years of scientific research to understand Buddhist mandalas, one of the areas of research was into energy healing. And I'm familiar with energy healing modalities of the East, and in the West there are new ones. And one of the ones that I really love studying and using is quantum healing hypnosis technique. It's QHHT,
Mhm.
and it's a type of hypnosis developed by an author and a hypnotherapist, Dolores Cannon. And what that allows me to do in hypnosis is to uncover the wheel of Dharma, and put into practice all this metaphysical Buddhist knowledge that I know and apply it into an actual case. And so what I do with clients that seek me out for a QHHT session is I help them ask questions to them and to the oversoul, that universal one mind that isn't everybody, which I pick up the same conversation from every single client. I'm talking to the same being about this client's journey, about how to get over their wheel of Dharma, about how to move forward into the fifth dimension. And there's a last message that always comes through of every single client that I get. And so I've put the message from the universal one mind into these simple sentences. And what the universal one mind inside everyone always says is that you've always been enough. Use the gifts and the resources all around you to create a life that you want to experience, a life full of joy and love. And the spirit world will nudge you through synchronicity. You can do it.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm.
That is such a wonderful golden nugget for people to take away from our conversation, and so so thoughtful. I that's so true. I mean, everyone's enough, and you can do it. I always tell people anything is possible as long as you believe in yourself.
That's right.
You know.
That's right.
So I know that people are going to want more of you, Vaughn.
I would love to.
How can people connect with you, get your book, find out about QHHT and all of that? Tell us more.
Yeah. So I know this is being aired on Tuesday. So Amazon does this free 5-day ebook giveaway for authors to kind of help pick up the rankings and popularity on their bookshelf. And I am doing that promo right now. So until July 1st, 2020, my book, Buddhist Mandalas, Explore Parallel Realities with Sacred Geometry, the ebook is free to download. So go to Amazon.com, type in Von Galt, V-O-N, and then Galt, G-A-L-T, Von Galt, or look up that book and you will see that. And if you open up the ebook version, you can download it for free. They won't charge you anything because it's under a promo until July 1st. If you click on the hyperlink for the author's name, it will pull up the author's page with all the books that I've ever written. You can find it that way as well. So this will help you, studying sacred geometry will help you rewire your consciousness to a fifth dimensional energy and help you with your awakening within the matrix and your ascension up the levels of consciousness so that you can, be that beacon in your business and in your life. So that's what's going on now. They can also find all my information, and also if they're in the Seattle area, request a hypnosis session with me through my website, Merkaba Chakras. So MERKABA chakras, like your 7 chakras, merkabachakras.com, and all the information is there as well as other information. If you're not in Seattle area and you want kind of your cheat code to ascension and awakening to the fifth dimension, go ahead and go to the DoloresCannon.com website and look up the registry, and there's plenty of practitioners all across the world. Find one in your local area and reach out to them for that assistance. But the time is now to move on beyond your 3D dramas and get to the fifth dimension, because the good stuff is waiting for you, and let's spend the rest of our life creating good stuff.
Oh, what a positive, wonderful note to leave on, because I think people need to hear that these days. And I will put the link to your website on the show page so people can just click on it and magically get there.
There you go.
So thank you so much for taking time out of your busy day. I know how busy you are, Vaughn. Thank you so much for taking time to share it with all of us. And I mean it. I could probably talk to you all day, but we probably don't have that kind of time.
Girl, we can set up another session and we could talk about women of the fifth dimension and the businesses that they create, because it's wonderful. The businesses of women in the fifth dimension is all about love and caretaking.
Ooh, I love that. Yes, we may have to do that. Thanks again so much, Vaughn, for being on the show.
You're welcome. Take care.
Well, thank you for joining me here at the Holistic Entrepreneur Show today. If you would like to learn how you can be a sought-after guest on popular podcasts, how to produce your own show, or even how to use content marketing to grow your business, go to bonnielinks.com and check out the offers that I have for you there. bonnielinks.com, BONNIELINKS.com, is also where you can sign up for my monthly newsletter, the Holistic Entrepreneur Update. It comes straight to your email with an update from me and all of the links to the last month's shows, just in case you missed anything. Now, this newsletter also gives you access to the show's guest gift page, where you can access all the great gifts from my guests over the years. And don't forget to subscribe to The Holistic Entrepreneur on your favorite podcast directory so that you'll automatically receive the newest episode when it's released. The Holistic Entrepreneur is brought to you by M&B Global Solutions.